Hello and welcome to Living a Graceful Life. I'm Denise Medved, your host, and I'm also the creator and founder of the Ageless Grace Brain Health Program. The purpose of this program is to remind all of you that it's never too late to begin to make choices to create the life that you want to live. And our guest this evening, for the third time in part 3 of Self-Care or Shelf Care, is Lana Gelb. And we're so happy to have you here with us tonight, Lana.
Thank you so much for having me here, and I'm excited to do this third program with you, this third session. And self-care. We started, and some of you, I'm sure, have already watched the archives with Talk the Talk, and we know that talk the talk is just talk. And we want to walk the walk, but we want to go beyond even walking the walk. And although walk the walk and action, which is our third subject tonight, actions speak louder than words, or even speak louder than walking, actually. So the actions are key, and that's where we felt that the shelf care comes in, because shelf care is just going to this lecture and going to that seminar and signing up for things, and then you hear all this wonderful information, but it's just information, and where does it go? So it's really vital for us to put that information just one step at a time into our lives and implement it as an action.
Well, you couldn't be wiser about that, Lana, because we both know from our long history in the health and wellness and physical fitness world that people talk about what they're going to do, and they even sort of tell everybody that they're doing what they want to do, but the reality is, how often do they actually do it? I always love to tell the story about my mother, who I bought more fitness videos and health and wellness DVDs and books about diet and nutrition. And when she passed away from Alzheimer's, I went, and there's this beautiful bookshelf in her bedroom full of all the books I had given her, and some of them still had the wrappers on, and some you could tell had never been looked at or read. So that's what tonight is about. It's called Actions Loud and Clear, meaning not only think about what your goals are, not only do the work you have to do to prepare to meet those goals, but actually create an action plan. How do I get started so that I can actually make this happen in my life, and not just talk about it or plan for it or get ready for it, but do it. So I'm so glad this is what you're talking about on this episode, Lana. And do you want to do a little recap of the talk your talk and the walk your walk?
Yes. Also, just to go on what you were saying, we know that this talk, and even making New Year's resolutions, which are New Year's is around the corner, just doesn't work. They've done all the statistics on that. And you know, one of the things I want to impress upon people is, don't wait for after your cousin's wedding. Don't wait till you come back from your vacation. Don't wait, because time is of the essence when it comes to your health and your self-care. So we talked about the talk and about language, and how language is so important in terms of what you say, not only about yourself, but what you say is your life. Everything that you talk about is actually a reflection of your life. So if you say something like, well, I'll try that, maybe in the summer, when the summer's over, even that word try is a defeatist word. You're not trying anything. If you say, I am doing it, you are much more forceful in terms of, I am changing this, or I am doing this, or I'm implementing this into my world. So we talked about that for a while, and then we talked about walk the walk, and I actually gave a bunch of expressions on walking. And of course, those who are watching now and who are going to watch the archives, I suggest you watch that because it's very interesting. It was interesting to me. I didn't realize all those walking expressions, like walking the straight and narrow, or run, walk, crawl before you walk, before you run. These are action words that signify our behaviors. And I did quote a lot of those. I don't want to go through them now because we have a third session. But in reality, walking is something that is a really huge human experience. And we all walk. Some of us at 6 months, some of us at 18 months starting, provided you don't have any issues at birth that prevent that. But pretty much most human beings walk. And your walk signifies, and in fact is a predictor, the speed of your walk is a predictor of your longevity. So it's very important for just that physical side of it. But more importantly, walking the walk is being authentic about what you say. It's being really walking your talk, and that's how the British say it, walking the talk. So that's really a recap of what the first two sessions. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Denise.
I do. I just want to say this, that before we get into this really third critical and important part about putting actions now to what you've talked about, what you've been walking, and I would love for you to tell people a little bit about your background, because you have such an incredible resume, you have such a great vast field of knowledge, that I would like everyone to understand that you speak from a great vat of wisdom.
Oh my goodness. Well, so I've had 40 years of wellness experience in terms of being an educator and a practitioner, doing exercise physiology for a long time in gyms and having my own studio and working with various different modalities and being interested in different things, women's issues, bone density, how to stretch the best way, how to do cardio the best way, that sort of thing. And then 18 years ago, I met you. And in the NEA training, I think it was around 18 years ago.
Sounds right.
A long time ago. And then you surprised me with this unbelievable brain program. And that you really introduced me to my brain. And I have you to thank for the rest of my life for doing this for me, because this has been so profound in my life. It really changed my life. So for the past 13 years, I've been somewhat obsessed with the brain through you, and done your program as an educator and as a trainer, and for Parkinson's and for dementia and all sorts of groups and so on. So that's pretty much what I'd like to say. It seems like an awful lot.
It is a lot. You've done a lot, and that's what I want people to know and understand, that you're not just a person who is giving great advice, but that you actually have the science underneath you and the history and the background. So let's move on to actions, loud and clear. This is the stumbling block where people get hung up about actually making it happen. And I know you have made a lot of things happen for yourself. You've set goals, and this year you've accomplished a lot of them. And I know your daughter, Tracy, has set goals, and I have too. And we've accomplished them, and we've talked about them together. So I'd love for you to talk about, how do you make that happen?
So, there's a SMART formula. And the SMART, S-M-A-R-T, so it's an acronym where the letters stand for, actually it started in the business world where people were setting goals for business, but you can use this across the board for any goals. So the S stands for specific. when you decide you're going to do something, make it specific. It can't be vague. It can't be universal. It's got to start with one thing. So, for example, I started, and I'm going to talk about a goal that I've been working on this past, I'm going to say, couple months. And I've worked on lots of goals in my life, but this one has been a challenging one on so many levels: emotional, physical, the works, mental, and so on. And I am saying that I am going to declutter my life, and I'm going to have a feng shui life, and I'm going to have a feng shui brain, so that everything is organized in my life, because I really have let that go. And I understand the emotional component there too. So I don't want to just say, okay, I'm going to have an uncluttered life. I need to be specific. So I'm doing it with my daughter as well. We started in the storage area, and we got rid of one of the 2 storage rooms that we have, which was a huge thing and a very emotional thing, because there were lots of photographs and different things from our lives, and it really affected us more than we thought. So it kind of staggered it a bit. Now that we've done that, because we can try the other storage, which is specific. This is a specific goal next year, but right now I'm doing my bedroom. And my bedroom, I have so many boxes in there still, and I'm trying to figure out how to do all of this. And it's a lot of strategic planning, let me tell you, which is one of the things that I'm learning from my Ageless Grace. So it has to be measurable. So the measurable part of it is, I need to know that I can walk in my bedroom and in my closet without falling over stuff. Because really, I'm just being transparent here. There's a lot of stuff there. And so that's my measurement. I need to know that that's going to happen. And it started to happen because I started on my room a few weeks ago, and it's getting a lot better. It's greatly improved, but it's really grueling, I can tell you. But so it's worth it. And that comes to achievable. It needs to be something realistic. Well, that comes to R as well, realistic and achievable. And can I achieve that? Yes. Is it going to be tough? Is it going to be emotional? Yes. But it's achievable for me, and it can be for you. And then, so is it realistic? Realistic, or is your goal like, I'd like to fly to the moon with on a spaceship in 10 years? That's not very realistic, but I want to declutter my bedroom is very realistic. And the T is the time factor, which I've already mentioned, that I'm doing this. Maybe I didn't mention, by the end of this year, my home, my room, my car will be decluttered. All of the above has been started already in each of those areas. And what I can say about that, though, I think, which is really important for me, is that I know how important that is for my brain, because when you're cluttered in your home, you're cluttered in your brain. And it's improved my mood. I feel really happy when I'm doing it. I feel really great when I've accomplished one area. And it's just the benefits are so rewarding.
Well, I love that formula, SMART. I mean, that is wonderful. And in case anyone didn't get it, let's see if I can repeat it. I don't know that I can. You may have to help me. But S is for specific. M, I already forgot.
Measurable.
Measurable, right. A is
achievable.
Achievable. R is realistic, and T is time. How setting a time goal for yourself, because that's another thing. You can. and this can be any goal. All of you realize that. I mean, it could be a weight loss goal. It could be a going back to school goal. It could be painting a room. It could be picking up a craft or an art or playing a music instrument. It could be anything. But those 5 steps are really important to it. And the only one I would add at the end is to celebrate what you've done. So congratulations, Lana, for all that you've done already. I know that it's a huge accomplishment, for sure.
Talking about celebration, I know how important that is. And I did a course last year where they talked about you need to celebrate every step that you take. It's not just at the end. You celebrate every time you've done something. Do something nice for yourself every time you do it, and reward yourself, because it's an accomplishment.
I love that. I think that's great. It is an accomplishment. I mean, the fact that you did the storage unit, one of your 2 storage units, that's a huge accomplishment to be celebrated. If you do your dresser or one drawer in your dresser and declutter that, that's an accomplishment. It's something to celebrate. I love also that you said how good it makes you feel, because setting a goal, a task for yourself, can be daunting, whatever that might be. As I mentioned, it could be weight loss, it could be anything, any goal, and it's daunting because it's something that you haven't done before that you want to do, and you don't want to disappoint yourself. Like you mentioned, we almost all disappoint ourselves when we set New Year's resolutions. We start off and we write it down, or we announce it to the group we're celebrating New Year's with, and then it doesn't get done. And so I don't know about anyone else, but speaking for myself, when I think of a New Year's resolution, I think, why bother? Because I don't do it. As opposed to what you've said, I could set a goal for myself at any day, at any time, and I could go through the SMART steps, and I could actually begin to take actions. Something else you mentioned in the last session when we were talking about Walk the Walk is you talked about doing things in smaller bite-sized pieces.
Small steps are key, 1 step at a time, and that's how we learn to walk. 1 step at a time, and that's such a great symbol for this whole idea of change. And I wanted to also, while I have a moment here, mention that what we didn't say, and I think it's important to say, is mostly this is win-win women. And women need to really be conscious of their self-care, more so than anybody, because women care for, this is our nurturing way. We care for so many other people. And so often we just wear ourselves out, and the wear and tear has a toll. So it's really important to put into practice anything that you can think of as a woman to make yourself feel cared for. Because sometimes we just forget about ourselves. And the second thing I wanted to say is you and I both teach neuroplasticity. I learned this from you. You were an absolute person who was an innovator in the world doing this beautiful, amazing brain program. And we need to train our brains to change. That is the key, just to change our brain. Because if the brain stays stuck and we say, oh, we can't do this, it's too hard for us, it's too much time involvement, I've got so many other things that I'm taking care of, which I understand, and I'm in that boat as well. But it's amazing, give a busy person a job, you know. We know how to multi-skill well. So I wanted to add that as well.
We do. And I'm glad you brought up the whole idea of changing your brain, because the reality is that we can verbalize as many choices, as many changes as we'd like to, But unless it sticks in here, in the brain, and the brain believes it, and the brain creates new habits in order to make that thing happen, then it's not going to happen. And then that's also true of what you said about walking your walk, one step at a time. If we think we're going to take a giant leap and suddenly accomplish something, the odds of that are not going to, or they're not good, because the reality is, even in real life, like you said, we learn to walk step by step every day. Even if we walk fast, we still walk step by step. It's very rare that we jump across 150 feet suddenly and go from here to here. That just doesn't happen. So the only way is to train the brain step by step, pay attention to the words that we use in our thoughts as well as verbally. You talked about that also when we talked about talk the talk, that the words that you use inside your head as you're thinking about something, well, I don't know if I can really do that. Well, that's probably not going to happen. Well, that when you think those things, you are literally stopping the brain. When you attempt to do something physically and walk the walk, you are causing those neurons to fire, those brain cells. But when you interrupt it with a thought like, I don't think I can really do that, the brain stops firing the neuron. It's kind of amazing, actually. You know this. So you're right. You must change the brain in order to change a habit. And you must do it step by step. And you must do it in a way that you're creating these words and these goals specifically. Does it matter if you write them down, if you type them up, if you put them on the wall? I mean, do any of those things make a difference when you're setting the SMART goals for yourself?
I think that any form of reinforcement is a good idea. So that if you see it in writing, if you put it on your refrigerator or put it on your mirror in the bathroom, and just remind yourself, because we backtrack, and like you said, we tell ourselves lies. We don't tell the truth. And we're used to doing that, and we're used to the negativity bias as well. We don't want to be positive. The brain isn't designed for that. We're designed for the negative because of survival. So once we know that, we can override it, and all these little reminders of post-it notes, and you can have one in your car, you can have one in your wallet, wherever, and it's just a constant reminder. I think that's a great thing to do.
I like that idea, because sometimes I set goals for myself, but then I forget. The day gets busy, and I think, oh darn, I meant to do that, all day long, or at least 2 or 3 times today, and I forgot, and now it's 8 o'clock at night. So I like the idea of the post-it notes and the list on the refrigerator or wherever you might be able to have it for your goal. Now, you had also mentioned to me that you would love to ask people, because some people have been on all 3 episodes, and some people have watched them and gone back, or they will watch them. And you had also said you might like to have people maybe write down or say to themselves or think to themselves, what is the goal that they want to accomplish? What's it about? And maybe start with being specific. And you had mentioned you'd like to get people to do that on this episode.
Yes, absolutely. So listening to us is great, of course, but doing the action, everybody's got something they want to do in their lives, whether it's in a relationship, whether it's a food issue, whether it's just wanting to learn a new skill, a language, a musical instrument, whatever it is. Definitely write it down today, now, when you have the opportunity, because you know what it is. And you might be resisting writing it down, because that's human nature. So just write it down and start the process. That's the key. Little steps, start the process. Decide today how you're going to do it, when you're going to do it, what the first step is to accomplishing that goal.
Excellent. Excellent. And Lana, how can someone reach you if they'd like to reach out and talk to you by email, or have you remind them about SMART, or maybe do some one-on-one work with them? How is the best way for people to reach you?
The best way really is just to reach me on my email, and my name is on the screen. It's lanagelb@gmail.com. Short and sweet and simple. And that's I read my emails pretty regularly, so you can catch me there.
Excellent. So it's all one word, no spaces, no underlines, LANAGELB @gmail.com. Pretty simple, pretty easy. And she will get back to you. Also, if you're interested in learning more about Ageless Grace Brain Health, we have a website, agelessgrace.com, pretty easy. And I'd love to announce that Lana and I are doing something pretty exciting. It starts this Wednesday. We're doing a 3-week workshop series, and it starts on the 9th of November. That's this Wednesday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which is 12 noon Pacific Time. And it will be the 9th of November, it will be the 16th of November, and it will also be the 23rd. And it's called Your Brain on Fitness. And the first one is about physical fitness. The second workshop is about mental, emotional, cognitive fitness. And the last one on the 23rd of November is about spiritual fitness. And of course, all of those things, mind, body, spirit, emotions, are what we are made up of. That is who we are. So it's going to be recorded, and there's a special deal. It's $19.47, so that you'll remember it for each workshop if you just want to do them one by one. But if you do all three, you get a big discount. It's $49.47 for all three, and they're all recorded. So the next day after we do the workshops, you'll be able to get the recording if you're not able to attend in person at 3 o'clock one day. We've already started the registrations, and I mention it because it's on the agelessgrace.com website. You go to training, because it is a training. It's an hour-and-a-half workshop each week to help train you in your fitness level with your mind, body, spirit, and emotions. And it's under the schedule on training, and you can register for 1 or 2 or 3 or however you'd like to do it. But we're pretty excited about this. We've been working on putting this together, and we're going to actually give you some tools to take home, so to speak, with you to be able to practice and physically embody each time you talk about the physical or the mental, emotional, cognitive, or the spiritual, things that you can actually do to be able to accomplish those things and make a change in those parts of your life. Now, the next announcement I have is really kind of cool. I am going to, Tracy, you should be able to unmute yourself because I have you as a co-host. I believe you could be able to unmute yourself. No, it's not letting you. Okay, I'm going to fix that. But I want to introduce Tracy while I'm fixing that, because Tracy Gelb happens to be Lana's daughter. And I think now you should be able to unmute yourself, Tracy.
Yes.
And she happens to be a friend of mine, and she happens to be an Ageless Grace educator. And she's not just any educator. She teaches 17 Ageless Grace classes a week, including in person and on Zoom. And she also has started, it started, I think, as a cancer support group. But as you said to me earlier today, it's become a support group for a lot of people. So she's done so many things, and she, as of next week, will become the new host of Living a Graceful Life. So welcome, Tracy.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Denise. I'm so excited to start next week.
We're really happy to have you. So the show will go on. It'll be the same. There'll be guests. It'll be the same format. It'll just be Tracy being the host instead of me. Believe it or not, I've done this a year now. Hard to believe. And it's time to pass the baton. I believe that in everything in my life, that once you create something, once you become a part of something, that you pass it on. And so Tracy is a very worthy person to take the baton and move with living a graceful life. And
Thank you so much. I'm so honored and flattered, Denise. I really mean that. You're such a mentor to me, and you're just incredible. I'm really grateful.
well, and I
Thank
could say the same thing to you. I know you're a lot younger than me, but you've been a mentor to me as well. You've taught me many, many things. So I thank you all for being here. It's hard to believe the first 30 minutes is over already. I'm going to end the recording.